Welcome to Toffee TV, driven for the summer by Vanarama. Loads happening, Baz, in the last 48 hours now. It all kicked off on Tuesday night. I can't keep up. I'm trying to Tuesday night. Obviously, listen, we had loads of rumours about Sam Allardyce, and Wednesday was the D-Day. That was the day it was supposed to all happen. He was going to London, and he was meeting up with Farhad Moshiri. Tuesday night we get the announcement of the board restructure. Robert Elston out, John Woods out, Denise Barrett-Baxendale, Professor Denise Barrett-Baxendale, now the new Chief Executive. Keith Harris, Deputy, and Alexander Rajanov. Say fast, doesn't matter how you say it.
Yeah.
You say fast is also in there in the mix, and it just as soon as that happened, it felt like oof. It started.
Yeah, it's the whole restructure. We've been speaking about it for a few months now, haven't we? The need for clarity everywhere. We mentioned last week when the club gone to announce Robert Elston's leaving date and everything else. We were all wondering. Farhad Moshiri's waited till the end of the season. Came back, flew in on Tuesday from Monaco or wherever he is, and got to work with it. And it's good. It's good because it looks like a clear structure now when you look at the makeup of the club. Obviously, we knew Robert Elston was going. Professor Denise Barrett-Baxendale knows the club. Evertonian, done fantastic work in the community. So I've seen people say it's a safe appointment, but she's done well. So why
she
not
was the outstanding candidate from within the club, I believe. Yes, people will say, why aren't we looking to the outside? Well, maybe, I'm just playing devil's advocate here, maybe with, the appointments of Keith Harris being on the board in the last year or so, and now being given more responsibility, probably the stadium responsibility, we'd think, because he was involved with the building of Wembley, that he is maybe that outside man that we were all looking for, maybe to take over as chief executive.
Maybe, and obviously, I know you're going to get onto Marcel Brands in a bit, but it looks like Denise's role is very much on the business side. I think, there'll be some crossover into the playing side, because there has to be. But in general, it looks like there's people who look accountable for things now, or certainly responsible. Accountable is probably not the right word, but responsible for things, which beforehand it was just the board or Farhad Moshiri. He didn't actually know who was doing what the makeup of it was, and now it looks like there's clear roles for people, and that can only benefit the club.
Yeah, because Robert Elston's gone, and I don't feel sorry for him, but I think that he suffered from him having almost that too much responsibility over time. It felt like for years that it was like he was in charge of everything at the club, so it was all, it was always his fault, or him and Bill or whatever. So I think they've learned that. Well, maybe business has just moved on. It's hard to sit and give a clear, definite, insight into the world of business when you just don't know. But it does feel like that. His part of his job now been broken up, so there is, because I think football has moved on, hasn't it? It's gone from being, doing these deals that at the time seemed big. I think everything in football for me has just got more detailed and refined, and you're dealing with such big things now. And obviously Everton day to day, because of the stadium as well, it's almost like it's two different things now. It's a football club and they're trying to get a stadium built. It's so much happening at the same time. So I think it's important that those roles have been refined, and you don't just have the one person you look to now.
Definitely. I mean, you only have to look at some football clubs, the way they're operated, and what what levels of commercial deals they get and different things like that. We still seem to be very much like a family club, which is great on one aspect of it, but when you're trying to compete with teams above you who are powerful, brands are really strong and things like that, it's difficult to jump into that. You know, the criticism, there's been criticism there because Robert Elstone and Bill work so closely together. Frustration. The problem you've got is we've been held back by lack of funds for so long that people get angry and frustrated with the likes of Bill Kennan, like Robert Elstone, and even some of the decent work they've done will get overlooked because this trophy drought is ridiculous for a club of Everton's size and not sustain. And think when you look at teams like, you know, Birmingham City, you've won Swansea, you've won trophies recently, you know, Everton are nowhere near it, and that to me, you know, it's the frustration is there, but we've moved on from that, and we have, the time has come. We've got a majority shareholder who's a very successful businessman and mixes with very successful business people, so he's got a clear structure of how it needs to be. I think he's tried it one way, and everything we're getting, the bits of information we're now getting, he's tried it one way and he's decided, no, this ain't working and this is how it's going to be, hence the new structure. And let's hope that for once we've made good decisions, good choices, and we can actually start to benefit, because it has over the last year, not on the playing side, off-field stuff has improved, sponsorship of USM Finch Farm and it deals with the chat bank.
It seems to be going more in the right direction. If it's not, even if it isn't massive strides, sometimes I suppose, you know, you've got to take smaller strides if you're trying to build out your brand. I think that going back to what you said about Elston, I think the big, you know, the likes of Elston, the big problem with him was, or the club certainly at that time was, it was funny I was talking about before, is, and it's something that comes out of around at that time now, is that, you know, we're getting this sort of be careful what you wish for sort of vibe thrown at us. And when you look at the book, you know, the history books, and you look at where we've placed in the last 10-15 years, we've been a top 6 team or in top 7, whatever. But the problem is, the difference is now is that, and I think this is why people are like, well, where do you expect to finish? Is any of the top 6 now can finish in the Champions League places. When we were in the top 6, we managed it once, and we never really pushed past that. Apart from obviously the season under Martinez, we never really, we sometimes, you know, we finished 5th, but we were always a mile away from finishing 4th. Whereas anyone in that top 6 can finish there now, so it's going to be tough to try and break into that. So I think that's a failing of that time, is that it was like we didn't build on it. We couldn't build on it, and they'll say that's not their fault, finances and all the rest of it. We didn't build on it, so I think that was one of the major frustrations that come out of that period.
And it was also, and David Moyes was chief of this as well, was almost dumbing Everton down a bit and going, well, we haven't got money, so we can't, you know, that people will say, well, that was just realism, but football isn't about being real.
No.
So you've got to dream and think big, and if you start telling everybody that we're not a big club anymore, enough people start believing it, and
that's a good point to go from for the situation on Wednesday morning. You know, we did all the rumours, we were expecting it. Sam Allardyce, about 10:15, is sacked by the club. No messing about, no mutual consent, no amicable split. Sacked. Little statement from Professor Denise Barrett-Baxendale to say, you know, thanks but no thanks, we're moving in a different direction, we're looking to the future. And I think the response to Sam Allardyce's sacking, the media are all, or certain members of the media are all aghast, how dare you and all that. But I think the ultimate thing comes from what you've just saying. We've lived with that. We've lived with, you know, we don't want to dare to try. Whereas fans are now going, why don't we dare to try? you know, if the Iranian fella's got the readies he claims he has, why aren't we, you know, trying to push on? And I think fans are just not willing to sit there and suffer. You know, they want something fresh, and I think, you know, Sam Allardyce going is a clear indication of that from the fans.
Definitely. I mean, we want to win something. You know, that's the thing. But first and foremost, we want to enjoy watching our team play football, and we all want to get behind something that's getting built. You know, we wanted to be behind Martinez. You seen that first season. We all, you know, some of us were cautious before he came and didn't really want him, but we quickly got on board and everything started snowballing. It looked really promising, and it's, you know, it was built on sand because he didn't know how to defend, but we all wanted to be behind that. Then Koeman was standoffish and things like that, and people didn't take to him really, and then nobody really wanted Sam Allardyce, whether he needed to come in at that time or not. People weren't made up with the appointments, and he's obviously, you know, I think it was Andy Hunter that done a piece talking about he made no effort at all to endear himself to Evertonians. He didn't buy into it. You know, seeing Roger Bennett as well from Men in Blazers saying he's never known an Everton manager to be so distant from the fans, and that kind of thing creates a divide. So I think a lot of people's realisation in about, probably when Luckman went out the door, but certainly in about March, when we were safe, when we'd won at Stoke, we were safe. Nothing changed. Two defensive midfielders, boring football, and everyone was like, well,
last game of the season, taking the striker off. Southampton at home, starting with two defensive midfielders in a game that really didn't matter because we couldn't even get a seventh at that stage. It was done. So you're looking and going, this just ain't gonna change, and fans are wanting to see progression. They want something to believe in. They want to see it and go, we've got a young, hungry attacking manager, we'll get behind it. And it might be bumpy and it might be this, but if we're still moving forward, we'll be all over it. Whereas I think this year, I think the problem with this season, the summer was so positive and so full of expectation and excitement that when it spiraled out of control by October, almost everyone's chins were on the floor, and then we could have picked it back up with a positive appointment. Couldn't get who they wanted then, and since then people have been critical. See, this is the thing, isn't it, as well? You know, Sam Allardyce wasn't first choice. You know, Silva was first choice. We know that he wanted Silva in. He wanted him in earlier, and it just came that because of, you know, the time under David Unsworth, and it felt like it had gone on too long. Then he had to make a change. And you know, you look at someone like Southampton, and you see how late they made the change. You can understand why he wanted to get it done early and almost get that sorted. But by doing that, I think that's paved the way actually for the long-term future, because I think what has actually happened off the pitch, but it looks like, you can't obviously say it is that by being practically safe by March, well, we were actually safe in February, the Crystal Palace game, really, technically. It's allowed Farhad Moshiri to go away and get his vision of what he wanted since then, without sort of letting anyone else in on the plan. I mean, I'm sure he has. He's got his, you know, the people on the board and that, but without sort of bringing Sam Allardyce into the conversation, or Steve Walsh into the conversation, or anyone on the football side off it. He seems to have been planning the long-term future, how he sees it since then, because, and I think that's why he did bring Sam Allardyce in, to guarantee that safety by as early as possible, knowing that the season was a write-off anyway. Because if he'd left it, or gone for, you know, look at what West Brom, and we keep on getting told West Brom were hiding us, Southampton were hiding us when Allardyce came in, but they were still crap, and they you know, obviously Southampton waited and bought Hughes and stayed in by you know, scruff of the neck, sort of gritted teeth. And West Brom brought someone in who was just shite in Pardew. Let's get it right. And that's allowed him to go, well, you know what, we've March, we're safe, now we can get the plans done. And it looks like he has, because I think anyone who queries with why he's brought Sam Allardyce in, I think, look at the big picture, look what's happened though in the last 48 hours, look what's happened with changing the board. What he's effectively said there is, this isn't Sam Allardyce, this is everything. I've got it wrong myself. And I think Sam Allardyce can take sort of half from that no one's putting the blame on him. And that's why I think when you have these phone-ins and stuff, and you know, his media cronies like, oh, he's done a great job, look at the bigger picture. It's not about Sam Allardyce. Farhad Moshiri's made a decision that affects Everton long term. Sam Allardyce isn't in it for the long term, and would he fit into what they want? Clearly no. By restructuring the board, looking for a younger manager, and then with the appointment of Marcel Brands later on in the day, that shows you that he has got a wider picture, and that's where the people in the media need to just have a look at that. Some will. You just mentioned Andy Hunter. There's other journalists who have also seen the bigger picture. People who are closer to Everton, people who aren't just looking from the outside and going, oh, that's terrible on Sam. They've seen the bigger picture, and I think that not saying it lets Sam off the hook, because Sammy for me wasn't on the hook, because he did what it said on the can. Whether people like that or not, he did what he was brought in to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's what all he was brought in to do, because Moshiri was so swift in his actions, and he was, you know, by Big Sam being the meat and the change sandwich there. It's all right. John put Baxendale in the sandwich. It was in our video. It shows that it's not just about Sam Allardyce, it's a club thing. And he's brought Brands in as well, which again later on in the day brings Brands in. PSV kindly tweeted he was on his way, and then Everton put it out later on in the day. But by being so swift in those three key elements, I think it's put Everton on a completely different path, and that's all for me Farhad Moshiri wanted to do. Yeah,
he obviously, it looks like Marco Silva's the man he wants. Therefore, the Sam Allardyce thing was, can we just get someone who will guarantee us that we're still going to be here? Because that's people will go, we're never in danger, but after Southampton, we looked in danger. Whether the players were good enough, but at that time they were all over the place. So it really was just about sustaining the status quo, and while he sorted everything else out, you know, he was a steady, safe pair of hands. Hasn't been great to watch, we know that. You know, and he'll take things away, like he didn't lose a league derby to Liverpool and things like that.
One away goals.
Yeah, you know, one away goals. Things like,
he'll always have that.
He will have
second half against Man City.
Yeah, beat City 1-0 second half. So he's
got them for life.
Today, Arsenal away 3-1, didn't he, second half? So he's got these. But no, in all seriousness, he's done what he needed to do for Farhad Moshiri. Not so much for Sam Allardyce. I think he thought he was getting longer and wanted longer, because I think he thought, well, no, from his perspective.
No, I was thinking of something else, but what I was going to say was, it just tells me that he wasn't in the picture. Do you know what I mean? Like he Farhad Moshiri has. Don't forget. Again, something the media have completely not looked at. Steve Walsh got the sack yesterday as well. You know, it's not. This is not all about Sam Allardyce, and yet the media want to make it all about Sam Allardyce. It's not. Steve Walsh got the sack as well yesterday. He's out the door again. Thanks, bye. See you later. He's out the door. So Everton, in the space of 48 hours, Everton have completely restructured the top end of the club. Completely.
Yeah.
You know, that's huge. That is huge.
Massive.
We sat here on Tuesday and did a video for Patreon. Who's the most important appointments, you know, and we're sitting here and we're talking about they've got to do this and they've got to do that. The next day they've done it all. They had done it all. It had all been done in the next day.
Do you think they watched that on the Tuesday?
I think I'll have to check. I'll have to check some of the names.
On the things and just
but they did it the next day, and I think that's what's getting missed here by all these people. Everton have just changed the top end. And listen, I'm not sitting here going, this is going to be amazing, like, because I don't want to fall into that trap. But it's huge that they can you know, that is, they have completely changed the way they want to go forward. And you know, you mentioned Silva there. Well, let's just stick on Brands for a minute. Stick on Brand. Brands has come in, and you know, you've got people who are excited, and maybe you've got people who are excited but they don't know why they're excited. We've got him. Who is he? Don't know. It's Bosto, which we've been guilty of in the past. But this is the one. This is the fella he wanted. This is the fella he's identified. You were saying to me he wanted him before he got Walsh in. So why do you think he's so key?
I think because of the way he sees the club, Mashiri. I think he wants someone who will run the whole football side of it at the very top end, who's experienced but with a track record. He wanted Monty, who was you know, the best in the world apparently at that time, and Seville wouldn't let him go. And Brands was the next one. He didn't want to go, which is fair enough, and we ended up with Welsh. So he's had his eye on him for 2 years, almost the best part of 2 years. He's done extensive research on him apparently. His track record's there. Look at PSV, won the league again. He's got a great history of it. Brings players through. Some of the players, Moussa Dembele, people like that, sold on Wijnaldum at Liverpool, them kind of players that he's brought through. Dries Mertens as well. So he's got
the pie he had as well.
Good track record. Loves promoting youth players into the first team and seeing that pathway. And I think
sets up those pathways as well, doesn't he? From what I've read.
And he's a good negotiator, I believe, and you know, he identifies things and an ethos for the way the team will play. Everything we've spoke about in terms of what we'd like and what other people have said and what they'd like, he kind of speaks about it. He's demonstrated that in the past. So I think that's key for us, because he hit the nail himself when he said they've had too many managers and changed too many players for it to have worked for them, so they'd go in a different way, which to me means building something, which is what we need.
I think as well, I think people are not all sure about this, about that technical director or director of football or whatever you want to call it. But I think with the way the restructure has worked, I think what they've done is, as well, by the looks of it, is that they've restructured to give him more room to do his job. People on the board are going to have responsibilities, you know. Denise Barrett Baxendale, the day-to-day running, you know, Keith Harris to try and sort the stadium, the Russian fella, to do all the commercial stuff and you know, get the money into the club, and then you've got it's almost like it's the top, but it's a line, and then on that side you've got Brands, and I think, and then he's then there's a hierarchy then on that side. So there's a football side and there's the football, you know, the other side of it. And I think with Brands, I think the way to look at it is that in Europe, certainly it's not as big here. You do have a lot of clubs like this. Bayern Munich do this, Man City have started to do this, and if you're going to look at the world's best managers and say, well, Pep Guardiola or Mourinho or whatever, if you're going to look at that side of it, he is up there, isn't he? He's up there, as you've mentioned, Monchi, who would be the best. He's up there as one of those best, and we've gone out and got him, which is potentially, you know, fantastic. I mean, if it works. But what you got to remember is, when we brought that system in, we didn't go out and look for the best. We didn't even go out and look for someone who'd done it.
Well, we tried to get.
Well, no. Sorry, yeah, we tried to.
We just couldn't.
We couldn't. So we ended up with effectively bringing in somebody who hadn't done the job before and said, go and do that job. So we didn't go out and even try and get the best. We did try and get the best, but we ended up with someone who was like,
a novice.
So if it's like you've gone out for the manager and wanted Pep Guardiola, you couldn't get him, and you've said to Duncan Ferguson, "Well, do you want to be the manager then?" You know, I know you're a coach and you might be an okay coach or whatever, but do you want to be the man? Or even David Unsworth for that. Yeah. We know you're a manager. Oh, you're not a Premier League manager though, but you fancy having a go at doing that, and that's what it almost feels like with Steve Walsh. And it's almost like, well, I can do the, or even like, well, I can do that job. But yeah, but if you want to do this, you need to do that, and that. And when it was all pushed together, he couldn't do it. What's not his job, but is this fella? This is his job. This is what he does. He's been doing it since 2005. You know, at a couple of different clubs.
That's what's key. The fact that he's done it before.
Yeah.
That's what the difference is. And you know, Steve Walsh come in, like you said, his role was totally different at Leicester. He was like chief scout and part of the coaching staff, so he was on the training ground with the players, you know, and was part of Ranieri's back room with Shakespeare. Coming here, he wasn't on the training, you know, he'd be there time to time, but in general his job was different, and he didn't have experience at it, so therefore processes that you're setting up, that you need to be in charge of, that you need to have a full grasp of, negotiating skills and stuff like that. He hadn't done any of that.
Contacts as well,
and you know, various other things that go on in that role he didn't have a handle on, which isn't great. And his relationship with Ronald Koeman wasn't very good, I think, that, as Koeman's already said many times, they didn't have the greatest relationship. So that, you know, that's what that is. So this time we have got one of the best, you know, certainly in Europe. So hopefully he's going to come in and establish that side of the club, so everyone's clear, so that the manager, if it's Marco Silva, can get on with doing what he does, but have a decent relationship with the director of football. And the other thing is what we've said before: if we can get a way of playing and players that fit that system, if Marco Silva either gets poached or isn't good enough, the likes of Marcel Brands will already be identifying similar managers who can come in and take over these players. Because the problem, I think, sometimes with football clubs now, with the money and stuff, it wasn't such a thing years ago, but now the money you spend on players and different types of players, the reason some clubs have real issues is they bring different coaches. Like when Liverpool brought Jurgen Klopp in, Jurgen Klopp was like, you know, a highly rated European coach. He came into Liverpool with Brendan Rodgers players, and it was alright. They finished 8th. They got to 2 cup finals, but they finished 8th. But he went and got people who complemented his system, and he got them to 4th because he's a good coach and because he improved them and he worked them harder. Then in the summer he went and got more to complement. So now that's why they're in a Champions League final. They qualify for the Champions League again next season, because it took him time to mould his team. Where I think the likes of Koeman went wrong was he just got players who were good with no idea, and Walsh, the pair of them, no idea how everyone was fitting together. And that's why I think the philosophy side of it, Marcel Brands he's got to have big input into that, and try and shape Everton going forward, because if that should provide continuity as we move forward, really, that's what it should. Whether it does,
well, that's what it should be, shouldn't it? It should be all pulling in the same direction. It was like, you go back to Man City, where, you know, they got the people in the back a year or so before Pep Guardiola come in. They'd structured that club so that when Pep Guardiola came in, it was all ready for him, how he worked, because they were all his people he'd had at Barcelona anyway. So all those people had already been guiding the club in that direction, so that when he walked through the door, it was all set up for them. Now, obviously, we're not going to go and get you're not going to go and get a Pep Guardiola. It might be Marco Silva, but at least if it is Marco Silva, you know, at least if it is, and maybe I'm hoping if it is Marco Silva that it's always been Marco Silva. Do you know what I mean? Because if it has been Marco Silva since day one, then Marco Silva will have been able to look at us and even maybe spoken to Brands or Macheri or whatever and got started to get to work. Basically, that's basically what I'm trying to say. Started to get to work, and Brands the same. Started to get to work. Started to look, you know, at what he's come into. You know, who are the players he's going to come into? You know, who's he going to be working with? What is the structure of the club? What is, you know, if it has been Silva, you know, I know they've said that Denise Barrett now, and we're going to have to just start calling it, after a while that's just going to be called, the backs. That, you know, they here and Brands are supposed to be going away and sorting out the manager situation the next 10 days to 2 weeks or whatever, even though their jobs don't start on the 1st of June, by the way. But you know, if it is Silva, then I'd rather it's always been Silva, because that way we've got a head start then on potentially one of the, I mean, this is why it's so key we got these things out the way anyway, on one of the fastest turnovers of transfer deadline, transfer window opens today. You know, so it's important that we're ready to go. So I'm just hoping that I'm buoyed by the fact that Brands has walked in and it's like, yeah, I've had this job for about 2 months or 3 months, and I've already had a little look around, and I already know where we want to go, and I've already got a picture in my head, and I already know the players I want, and the manager who comes in, you know, without saying any names, he will be selected based on where I see the club going. And I think that's really important, because I think in the past we've got this we've had for years the manager's the most important man at the club, and loads of people still think he is, but football's changed, like we've said on, you know, sports has changed as a whole. There's so much money involved, but if the hierarchy's there, so we don't have that, well, who bought him, you know, when the bad players, Steve Walsh bought them, when they were good players, Koeman or Allardyce bought them, you know, or depending on what your outlook was on the whole thing, it does seem like it'll be like, well, Brands has the vision, the manager who he selects, his job is to realise that vision, and between them, the players and Raiola as well, will be selected to do that.
Yeah, that's what you hope. You know, we've seen links already with Justin Kluivert. You know, who Raiola has. So, you know, if we can start getting people like that in through the door because of Raiola and because of Brands, then he's a hot property in Europe, you know, and that should help with how things are going. So fingers crossed that it all runs smoothly.
Yeah, listen, it seems complicated. It seems a million miles from where football used to be, but I think actually this system will be less complicated than it was before, because I think the most important word here is hierarchy. I think it's so key. Do you disagree with that?
No,
for me, I think it's so key, Baz, right, that the people within the club know their bosses, but I think it's so important to us as well that we know who we know, and this is why I've said for ages, and why we've said for ages, why the Brands appointment was so key, because it was about he's now in charge of creating the vision, whereas I never for 1 minute thought Steve Walsh's job was, he was just like, well, I'll buy the players, or I'll go and get the players that you want, and that's just under Koeman and him, that just seemed to cause more problems than it solved. Whereas I think with this, I think the key thing was when they said Brands and Denise Barrett will select the manager. I think that was the most key thing, because when the manager walks into I don't think they have a normal like interview process like anyway, like no, but when they walk into a room and the first person they meet is Marcel Brands, and he's, you know, I'm the technical director, I'm in charge, I'm your boss. Whereas I don't ever think when you have a director of, I didn't think under Walsh.
No,
that Walsh wasn't Koeman's boss. No. Exactly. So I think that's where that relationship's got to come from, and I think
with that, because if you're a manager at a lot of clubs, and it works at clubs, of course it does, but I just mean, say it was the current structure, you wouldn't see Farhad Moshiri. So for you, Farhad Moshiri be the man who employs you, the biggest, the owner and all that, but you wouldn't see him. every now and again. Whereas with Marcel Brands, he's going to be based at Finch Farm, so you're going to see your boss is going to be around most day unless he's off doing stuff, but he's a visible presence within the training complex, the training ground, running that whole thing. It's very visible, and I think that's important.
The equivalent, I would say, it's not really an equivalent, but you know when someone's making a film or a TV program and you have the director, right, who is, you know, it's his vision on the pitch or on the screen, but the producer is his boss, and the producer can just be like, this isn't going the way that, you know, we've got to sell this film, we've got to get, you know, I've got to get bums on the seats. What your vision is, you know, that's you, but I know this isn't going to make any money. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's where it's that kind of relationship, and I think that's got to be there. That hierarchy's got to be there, and I just think the whole thing, the way it's been almost, I just feel like the boardroom's there, but there's like there's a split down. There's a split, and you've got Denise Barrett Baxendale's top dog on that side, and Marcel Brands is top dog on that side. You know, football. Business, even though he's the football business guy as well, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's all. It seems to make sense now. Obviously, the proof will be in the pudding, but it's good that they've acted swiftly.
As long as it makes sense to them. Whereas before, I don't think the structure was in place for it to work, because I just think there was too many people standing on each other's toes. By the looks of it. By the looks of it.
Yeah.
Because you still had as well, don't forget, you had, and this is, you know what, it's funny because it's indicative of the team as well. The team was people from Moyes' era, you know, who played for Martinez, who played for Koeman, who played for Sam Allardyce, and the boardroom was a bit like that. It still had Bill's chief executive, it still had John Woods, it still had probably Bill making big decisions. Now, it's more Machiri's people.
Which makes sense.
Which makes more sense. There's still parts of it, and Bill's still there for the meantime, just, you know, like a Force ghost, Obi-Wan, you know, giving advice out. But it seems now that it's Machiri's men, and that's the vision now, right?
That can only be a good thing,
can't it?
Because it's him getting a proper hold of the club, which is what we want. Because I think sometimes this season people have questioned him and gone, we've questioned him and gone, what's happening here? Because he's put a lot of money in. Is that it? Is he just more? But it isn't. He's Bramley Moore's a massive thing, and that's what he's taking on. But what I mean is, it's equally important for the playing side, and we have looked this season and gone, where's this going? Is he just going to go, Allardyce, stay in charge for a bit, just keep us afloat? But he hasn't. He's looked at it and gone, I want to build something. I come here to be successful. Didn't come here to just own a football club. You know? It's
and we've said this on the flip side, it's a long-term solution to long-term problems, whereas Sam was a short-term solution for long-term problems. So hopefully now people will know when they come back whether they've got, you know, futures or not. The likes of Adam Ola-Luckman will come back, and it'll be like, it might be completely different.
You think he'd play?
The young players
under Silva?
Well, you'd like to think.
Richarlison, didn't he?
No. So you'd like to think, you know, all the other young players will come back, and you know, obviously some players will be out the door, but at least they'll know now. I think the vision will be there to just say, well, thanks, but no thanks. This is where we're going, you know, and we don't want you.
And we can buy into that then as fans.
Yeah, because that's all we want.
Because we can look and go, well, this is our manager now. If it's Marco Silva, he's 40. He's a young manager. He's hungry, attacking. Okay, there's question marks over him. There is, but it's up to him to dispel those fears for us. It's up to us to back him. It's up to him to dispel any fears we've got by portraying it on the pitch. And by doing that, if he turned round and went, him don't suit the way I play, we just have to go, right, well, he's got an idea in his head.
But the most important thing is, for that, if it is Silva and if people have got issues with that, I mean, I'm not convinced over Silva. The proof would be in the pudding for me. But I'm not overly convinced Fonseca, because he's got things as well. The only person I'd be convinced by is Pep Guardiola. If I'm perfectly honest.
Every manager's a risk, because just because you're great at one club doesn't mean you're great at another club. There's factors. You need a little bit of good fortune. You need different things. The choices we've got, I'd love Emery, but Emery's not without his problems, and he can't speak English, and he can be quite divisive. I think some people don't like him. Like you said, Fonseca, people are all over him. Can he do it in England? You wouldn't know. And you know, there's issues there. You look at Dice and you go, well, he's a safe pair of hands, but is he really? Would he really excite us? Ancelotti, is he arsed? He needs top level players.
No, I know.
Do you know what I'm saying? Hunger wise, done it for years.
The most important thing is that
Machiri and Brands
is that whoever comes in to a club now that is stable and knows where and
unified
and knows where it's going, and that I think and gives the man who comes in all the necessary tools to do his job, and that's all you can ask for.
Let's be honest, the only people that it really matter in this is Machiri and Brands. And if if it's listen.
No, you're right, because you know what? We shouldn't even know the names of those three other people. Really, do you know what I mean? We shouldn't really know that who they, you know. Denise Barrett-Baxter is like a figurehead, and she'll have a name on all the statements because that's where she. But we shouldn't really know who those people are. They run the shop. Do you know what I mean?
Well, this day and age you do, but you're right. They're not. They shouldn't be important. It's in terms of football, because the football side should be important, but it's all important.
Yeah, of course.
I just mean Brands and Machiri are the most important. And if Marco Silva's been identified a while ago and they've looked at it and gone, you know, when he's made the decision that it's definitely not Sam Allardyce, you know, Marcel Brands might have been like, nah, not having that. You know, and it's Silva, like you said, he's been looking at it. They know what kind of manager Silva is. He might have spoke to Brands, and Brands might be like, this is what I want to do, and he's like, that's what I want to do. That's fine. That's because that means you're getting that unity. Whereas Koeman was in and then Walsh came in, Walsh might have looked at Koeman and gone, I wouldn't have employed you. You know, I don't actually think you're very good. You know, whether Walsh was qualified to do it or not, just because he was put together with Ronald Koeman doesn't mean if he would have had any influence in a decision, he would have said Ronald Koeman's the one I'd go for. He might have looked and gone, I'm impressed with him. He didn't have a style at Southampton. He didn't do this. He didn't.
Well, the flip side of that is Koeman would have looked at him and gone, you can't do this.
Yeah,
you can't do this job. I don't mind. You know, he worked with Leslie. He knew that. He knew the job he was doing. He might have looked at him and gone, you don't know how to do this. You can't get the players I'm asking you for, because that's the other side of it, isn't it? If you've got someone who's supposed to be your boss and you go, you can't do that job. You're not good enough to do that job. That makes me look bad when I do my job. That's gonna. I mean, we got that quite early on with the Snyderland thing, and we had it with the Giroud thing as well, and the Belfodil, was it? Belfodil. There was the other one where it was like Walsh was like, no, have him, and he was like, no, I don't want him. He's crap. So I think that, you know, with that as well, and that's where Brands, you go, this fella knows the job.
Well, he knows it, doesn't he? You're not going to doubt him because he's done it. So if he goes, we do it this way, you're not going to go, why are you doing it that way? Because he'll just go, because that's how I do it. And I've done it for years.
That's how it's done.
The job is done like this. People aren't going to go, well, you know what, it's better doing it this way, which they might have said to Walsh, and Walsh might have gone, oh, okay, and it's we don't know, obviously we're speculating, but all you can do is get people in who've done the job before. That's all you
and we're good at it.
And are good at it, because that's why you've gone for them. So listen, Machiri's not going to want to keep, or Usmanov, whoever it is, isn't going to want to keep spunking money up the wall without seeing anything. Well, he's not, is he? No. He's gone and got Walsh. He's
paid enough to pay them all off.
He's culled them, gone. But that's bloody spare change if you get it right. If you get it right and get a vision going, and it starts to work, that's money well spent, because you've tried and it hasn't really worked, so it's move again. We move again. Tottenham took a while, Man City took a while to get it right, and then they got it right in a big way, but it still took them they went through a couple of managers before they were happy with, Pellegrini, and then they still weren't happy with him, and they wanted Pep. That's why he stayed so long. So it might take a little bit of time, but as long as we're moving forward,
Yeah.
as long as there's a vision, and as long as everyone can follow the breadcrumbs, which I don't think there was any, then that you'll feel like we're moving forward.
Yeah,
That's all
yeah.
we want as fans. Then we'll buy into it, which creates a stronger Everton.
Definitely. Yeah. So yeah, it's been a crazy last few days. Busy. Let us know your thoughts in the comments on the restructuring of the board, Sam Allardyce getting sacked, Marcel Brands being appointed, and what it all means and where we're going. And who do you want for the manager? It's all bad. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching Toffee TV. We'll see you later.